Hi, and welcome to another episode of Dungeons and Degrees. My name's Adrian,
And I'm Alex.
and we're back with so many robots.
Hello, how's everybody doing?
So many robots here.
Post Kickstarter, PDF finalized, samples kind of coming and going. On the end of a Kickstarter, and brought him back to kind of see how was that process, how are things going, how was and this is going to date this episode, the tariffs, and all that stuff. But yeah, let's just talk about your Spellbound or Songs of the Spellbound Sea. There we go.
That's the one. Ran the campaign last summer from June to July, or was it May to June? I forget which. Ran the campaign last summer. Did really well. Got plenty of orders. Got a good amount of money to produce the book. For the 9 months or so since then, I have been deep in the trenches of writing a book. Turns out that's a lot of work. Surprise, surprise.
Ooh.
But now I've got the light at the end of the tunnel. Got the 1.0 done a little over a month ago. I think start of April was when I pushed out the release. Currently working on getting the physical print run going, then bringing the books over and delivering backers their books. I would say pretty soon. It's still going to be like a few more months. But
Right.
soon in terms of how these things go.
Yeah. Compared to where you were, it's sooner.
Yes.
What was your. Because I had a conversation with somebody and they were like, I don't Kickstart because it takes forever for rewards to come through. And I said, what do you mean? I've never had that issue. And then I started watching things and I was like, oh no, I just haven't been paying attention. But what was your decision on doing the Kickstarter first and then writing the book versus the opposite way?
So when I started the campaign, I had the book about 50% pre-written at that point. Some of it was content I'd previously released publicly that I was pulling in. A bunch of it was stuff that I wrote exclusive for the book that I just had ready to go in advance. I gotta say my timing was actually less driven by my own process and more driven by where the market was. With Wizards of the Coast preparing to release the 2024 edition last fall, I figured it would be a really terrible time to launch a Kickstarter during that launch. Because I would have gotten 100 people saying like, oh, I don't want this unless it's for 2024, but the SRD for writing 2024 content only came out like 3 weeks ago. So it would have been pretty much impossible to launch. So what I did was I launched last summer at 50% done. I gave myself sort of an estimated timeline on how long it would take me to get it done, which wound up being reasonably accurate. I think I'm 2 or 3 months behind schedule on what was a 1-year schedule, which is honestly pretty good as far as Kickstarters go. And none of that is like big dramatic delays. That's just like, oh, writing stuff takes time. It took me time to write stuff.
Yeah. And I think at this point, right, any sort of delay is because of the big capital T tariff issue too. Like at this point, everything that I've Kickstarted in the last definitely we're going to say 6 months. We're not going to look at the fact that there was like 4 Kickstarters in the last like month and a half. It's fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine.
There are
So many Kickstarters.
there are a lot
So many
of
Kickstarters.
projects that are going to be manufacturing in China, parking their stuff in a warehouse in China until the trade war is over. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to have to do that, which is nice. Presumably not everybody who's listening will be super up to date on the minutia, but basically, if you're manufacturing in China, which for any board game you are, for most but not all TTRPG books you are, it is possible to print in Europe. There's a good press in Lithuania. I know some folks who work with. But if you're manufacturing in China, The tariff rate you would have paid a year ago would have been between 0 and 10%, depending on exactly what the item is. The tariff rate you were going to pay on April 2nd, when the trade war started, would have been between 24 and 54%, depending. As of last week, it would have been 145% across the board. As of this week, it is between 24 and 54%, but not the same 24 to 54%. The rules are slightly different. They work out about the same.
It's so fun.
I love math.
I love math.
So the TLDR and what that means is nobody can absorb 145% cut, or 100. Yeah, nobody was going to import anything at that rate. At the current 30 to 50, most people are not going to want to import at that. It's maybe doable, but it's just going to take away all your margin. Stuff you were making money on before, you're going to lose money on now.
Well, and that was the big conversation before we even, I mean, okay, for a lot of the people who are semi-educated on tariffs and how tariffs work in business, because why would even knowing big business, even knowing that, why would they want to eat the amount of money that they're making? They're not going to do that. They're going to send it to the person who's purchasing the thing, because they don't want to eat it, because it's been proven time and time and again that those margins are important to businesses, because they don't pay their lowest ranking employee. They don't, where pharmaceuticals are wildly overcharged in the United States. We have shit like pink taxes, right? On like razors for women, because they're pink or femme, are more expensive than the razors for not women. So like why are we
surprised that this is
why
what
are we
happened?
surprised?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the particularly in TTRPG, in board games, it's completely disastrous. Board game margins have always been paper thin.
Because they're bored. Sorry. I'll go. It's fine.
Board game margins have always been super thin. Board game publishers, it's probably changed, but I saw a stat a couple of weeks ago that basically one was closing every day. For kickstarted TTRPGs, it's not as bad. It's still bad, but because it's direct to consumer, there aren't any retail stores taking a cut. There aren't any distributors taking a cut. So the margin is a little healthier. So most TTRPG Kickstarters right now are planning to mostly eat the tariff cost and just be sad. I'm in the...
Because they're people. Because we're dealing with like regular ass people. To people. Yeah, I'm going to help take some of that. Sorry.
So I'm in the fortunate position that the particular set of partners I'm working with that I had already lined up before this have a plan to spread the tariff cost out among all of the companies involved in the chain, which is me, it's the manufacturer, it's the freight forwarders, it's the logistics partners, it's the shipping company. Like, that is going to be blunted for me. So for the size of my shipment, it's probably going to be a few $1,000s, which sucks. But I have a friend who's fulfilling a Kickstarter right now who was looking at a $200,000 tariff bill. Like, that's the group of people who are parking their stuff in the warehouse until everything blows over.
Right.
Yeah. That's wild.
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
How
I gotta
do
work
you-
off this payment in 5 to 10 years. Sorry.
Put it on my affirm.
Put it on my student loan.
Oh, girl, put that on my student loans for sure. How are you, because that logistic, right? That part of shipping things out, how are you handling that? Because I'm curious and not because I'm judging. Just, how do you do
So
that?
I'm super lucky because the particular companies I'm working with are pretty full service. So my manufacturer is my importer. They're the importer of record. The company is US based, though they do all their manufacturing in China. Mostly. They do a little in Vietnam. So that cuts out like 5 different companies I would have to work with. Because there are companies that own the boats, companies that own the trucks that get stuff on and off the boats. Customs broker is an entire profession that most people don't know exists. Literally, it's the person who has to fill out the forms to get stuff onto the boat. You have to take a test. It's very hard.
I imagine, because you're not just working on one country. You're not just working on like one set of rules or one set of things. Like, yeah, that totally makes sense. But what you're saying is get a girly who can do everything.
That is very helpful. If I didn't...
Get a girly who can do
Yeah,
everything.
basically, for my story, I have to talk to my manufacturer / importer, and I have to talk to my fulfiller, that's who actually gets the container and then mails the books out to individual backers. For a smaller Kickstarter, most of those folks are going to be doing the fulfilling themselves. So literally, that would be, I receive a pallet of books, I mail them out from my house. For somebody who doesn't have sort of full service partners the way I do, then you're going to be coming up with your own contracts with freight forwarders, your own contract. I don't think you usually have to get your own customs broker, but it is an option, and some people are doing it because some customs brokers are more aggressive in the face of all the tariff changes than others. It's a mess. It's so much pain.
Is there a community that, like, do y'all, like, once you become a Kickstarter, like, everybody else is like, yeah, I feel you? Do you have, like, a Kickstarter Discord?
That would be lovely. There is not well, I say that. There are a couple of Discords that are actually relevant. The Rising Tide Discord is the biggest one. It's like the Rising Tide TTRPG Discord. It's a place where a whole bunch of people talk and network and work out. Most of that isn't like talking about the nuts and bolts of Kickstarter, but that's actually where I found my layout designer from. That's where I found my editors from, was posting in there. In terms of like networking with other creators, it's all just like one-on-one conversations. One of the reasons I felt confident enough to launch my Kickstarter in the first place was I got a bunch of really good advice. I talked to some of the guys at EN World. I talked to Mike from Mage Hand, was super, super helpful. I will always shout out Mike because he's a lovely human and was really, really helpful. Kibbles Tasty, Spectre Creations, Griffin Saddlebag, all of those folks I had chats with. So they all like gave me tips on what to expect. And now that all of us are in some stage of navigating the tariff and shipping mess ourselves, we're doing a whole lot of comparing notes. Like, oh, my customs broker says they're only going to give me the terrible classifications and everything's going to be awful. Do you know one that's a little bit more flexible? That sort of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it is about finding your community and then just traveling the waters together of this hellscape.
Pretty much, yeah.
Way to make it thematic.
I'm so sorry. Oh yeah, I did that on purpose. Absolutely, I am so smart.
Okay, my bad. I take that back.
The tariff waters. So sorry.
Has there been any significant changes from what you put into your book from last time we spoke? You said 50%. You did everything else since then. Any additions? Anything you took away?
No major additions. I pretty much stuck to the content plan that I had set out. I made a few small cuts here and there. A few subclasses I'd planned that I wound up not writing, just like 3 or 4. I did some of the, well, I say that I stuck to my content plan. When I ran the Kickstarter, I promised people 200 pages. I'm delivering 336.
Liar! Liar!
How dare you? Boo! More reading.
Now, the
Ew.
words.
I never thought it was actually going to be 200 pages. I just didn't want to, I wanted to underpromise and overdeliver. I thought it was going to be like 250, maybe 270.
You bamboozled us. I see.
And then it just kind of grew and grew page by page. Individual sections got bigger, more monsters I wanted to include, more species I wanted to throw in. We did actually, we stretched out the art some. So one of the big things, one of the decisions I made in the creation process was to deliberately over budget the art because I really wanted the book to look beautiful. And I made the decision both at the end of the day commercially, but more to the point sort of artistically and aesthetically, that it was important to me that I give these artists the chance to make the best art they could. So like some of that extra page count, there's a bunch of 1 page and I think there's even 2-page art spreads in there that I didn't plan for. Just like trying to make the thing as beautiful as we could.
I love a good art spread.
I love.
I'm sorry. I
I'm
was just,
so sorry.
like a pizza. Like I love a good pizza pop, but it gave off kind of like I'm creepy. I like it how it spreads, but my bad.
I'm sorry. I really tried. I really was like, no, don't. Whatever he says, it's gonna be great. And then
and then I did that.
The weasel in my brain went, no.
Danger. This guy's dangerous. Get away. Oh, it's just Adrian pretending to be somebody.
No, but okay, that makes sense. And I think that I don't know. I don't know how transparent stuff like that is, but like if I knew that a creator was putting like a dumb amount of money, okay, here's where this relates to in my brain. This is going to be a very small niche of people who listen to this podcast, and it's really probably only going to be me and Adrian.
Shut up.
No. I swear to God. I swear. This is not me, like, putting something down. Texas Tech puts forth, right, whenever they're building a new building, which is a dumb amount of money. Like, we're talking about, like $25 million, right? There's, like, 10% of that goes to live art. No, it goes to like public art. So even though this is in the middle of nowhere, there's still like a very strong public art selection if you just walk around campus, which I think is really, I like that. I think that there's something that I'm very proud about with Texas Tech, right, that my alma mater like requires that to happen. When I was going to school, I was like, that's a dumb fucking idea, but so sorry.
Dear God.
I still think it's a little bit of
In
dumb.
another life.
I got both. There's two wolves. Okay, one wolf says that's a really fucking good idea because we should have art. The other part of me says the fucking art is just money laundering to their friends, right? Because it's so much money. Okay. Okay. My friends let me buy their art for $10 a piece. You cannot tell me that if I had $25,000 that there's not a little laundering happening there, okay? You just... If I had $25,000, I would give it to one friend, right? Just create some cat art or some shit like that.
That actually, I can connect that back to the book, in fact. Because one of the other choices I made with the art was to look for artists whose work I really liked and was really impressed by and who could fit sort of a coherent aesthetic. And then just pay them whatever they needed. Which is distinct from like trying to scrimp and trying to save and like, oh, this illustration, can we maybe do this one just in black and white? And this one, like, oh, can I try to squeeze 2 sketches out of this piece of my view from the beginning was, if I wind up, if as long as I'm happy with the art, I'm getting value for my money. If I wind up overpaying for some of this art a little bit, the worst thing that has happened is I have subsidized the creation of beautiful art, and that's fine. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
As opposed to like having to bargain these folks down and like, oh, this artist is too expensive, let me find somebody from a cheaper country who can do the same thing but cheaper. Like, no, I found artists whose work I like and I trust, and whatever they need I pay them, and that's great. I feel great about that.
Yeah. So a little money laundering, just a little bit, just sprinkle right there. It's fine. But okay, like, what is the difference between money laundering
Go
and
on
art?
your soapbox, stand back up there. He was trying to get us back on point, and then you're like, no, hold up. The world sucks.
I'm just saying Benjamin is one of the best people we've ever interviewed, because there's a push for art, okay, and getting people paid what they actually need to be paid, and I think every Kickstarter should be 100%, 273% funded every single time there's a Kickstarted. Okay, 513.
I want to say there's some nuance to that, but most people, yes. I'm not going to say everybody, okay?
I just
some
said,
people.
Ben, right here, right now. 537% funded every time there's a Kickstarter. I don't know what you're going to do with that money, and you might just like be. Do you think with that amount of money, do you think you'd be evil? Do you think you'd turn evil? Do you think you'd become somebody else with that amount of Kickstarter money?
Yeah. Absolute, not me.
Yeah, you. Do you think
I'm
Ben,
incorruptible? That's what everyone said.
Do you think you'd be corrupted by the Kickstarter?
Well, now
money?
you're actually making me curious what that actual ratio was for my project. Yeah, about 5x my original target was what I raised. So I had that much money. It still wasn't a whole lot of money.
Okay, you had
honestly.
that much money. Never mind. Okay. So now we've got to think bigger. We already hit that goal. He's still good.
Your hypothetical didn't work.
So
now we gotta keep going.
I didn't know. I didn't know he was such a good person. Okay, I didn't know.
The project budget that I wound up with was about what I needed. The tariff expenses are probably going to wind up coming out of my bank account, not out of project money. Because I budgeted it.
Because you're such a good fucking person. Look at this, Adrian. Good people.
I mean, more that they're just
That's good. That's
there
great.
isn't money for that. I do know some other creators who had enough extra in their campaign funds that they had to set aside. Because everybody knew that something was going to happen to tariffs this year. And if you could set aside for that, you did. I mean, this
person still paid their artists.
This is not a business where anybody is making money laundering grade cash. The really huge ones, maybe. I'm not going to call anybody out for sure, because I also
call them out.
Really huge ones, their cost structures are totally different. You know, the Kickstarters that do 1 million people, they have full-time, multiple people working full-time on those projects.
Do you think you should Kickstarter at that point? Do you think that there should be a cutoff?
If there were another way to market your project, sure. But Kickstarter is 50% marketing. So if you want people to hear about it, that's the place to go anyway. So I'm going to get a little salty if, like, Wizards were to kickstart a book. I would probably look askance at them. But, like, the big third-party creators, you do you. And what's nice in TTRPGs is, even though it's starting to... I don't know if it's full-on contracting or if it's just growth is slowing, but there's still plenty of room for everybody to succeed here.
I just wanted a hot take.
I know.
No. I mean, but I could understand that, because Adrian and I just literally had this conversation in another meeting of, like, Alex, the person behind the microphone, I don't quite know what that publishing, like, I don't know what it looks like behind the scenes.
Right.
I don't know who the bigger companies are. So aside from like obviously I know Wizards of the Coast, okay, but hearing other companies, I don't know. I'm just a poor consumer. I don't know the actual names, but it doesn't matter either to me because
like the only reason we heard about Mage Hand, other than from what you just said, was literally like 20 minutes ago when we were talking to somebody.
Yeah.
And we're just like, I was like, that what is the coincidence that it happened twice in one day?
But I think you're right that it's still such a small market of people doing the same thing, and we have this conversation all the time that TTRPG, there's enough space at the table for everybody to do a lot of their stuff, and like maybe not Wizards. Wizards doesn't need to do a Kickstarter, but honestly, if they probably did, I don't know who would not do it. Like, then at least you get the super secret special Kickstarter edition, and for the super secret collector, they're really gonna like that.
Don't give them any ideas.
Listen, just Venmo me some money. Like, I don't care.
Wow.
Okay.
How much to buy out Alex?
Pay a bill.
Pay a bill.
A bill. Just
Yeah, we are struggling out here, aren't we?
But there's enough stuff happening in the board game and TTRPG space that, like, if you got a dream, go for it. If you think people are going to Kickstarter it, go for it. Except for you, Lisa Frank. I still fucking am mad that I didn't get my shit, Lisa Frank. I'll call you by name. Actually, Adrian, can you just beep that part out? Just
Yeah, I got you. I have a beep for us
Great.
now.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I do Kickstarter a lot because I like it. It makes me feel good that somebody else's project is getting supported. I like all the extra bits that somebody sends in, right? Like, I like the ability to get all the little Kickstarter. I don't need my name to be in anything, though. I hate that part. That's the only one that I'm like, I'm not going to go up to
Some
that
people
tier.
love it,
I know, but I surprisingly am not.
I mean, some people pay for that tier.
You don't like being perceived?
Some
Just
people
give
pay
it
for that
gifts.
tier and then put in anonymous.
If you did it, right, and you had anonymous, would it be like you would write out each anonymous separately, or would you just like put anonymous times 5?
I'd only put it once.
Or would you write them out? You'd only
Because
put
the
it
point
once?
of being anonymous is you're anonymous. Even saying that there were 10 anonymouses is giving a little bit of information about who they were.
Okay.
Mhm.
Interesting. Adrian, what would you do?
My name, my handle.
I know. Dungeons
I
and
need-
Degrees. I'd buy 2 books and I'd.
Listen, I've been thinking about how do I market myself? What if I could just go on big streamers and donate
Ooh.
like subs, and then like, oh, marketing right there. How often do I need to do that for it to actually like pay dividends? I don't know if I want to find that out.
I think you'd have to
don't
find the
wanna see.
medium-ish creators, right? You can't go too big because then you get lost in the storm.
Right.
And I think if you go too small, then that one person is appreciative, but there's not a further reach.
Yeah.
You need like medium.
There's definitely a tier of folks that you can talk to and advertise with who like they'll say, oh yeah, pay me and I'll shout you out in my video, and you check their videos and they've got like 50 lifetime views. Like, I appreciate you, I respect what you're doing. That is not something I can justify paying for, friend.
Right.
I'll just advertise you for free all the time. I'll just repost everything
Yeah,
that
we
you
just
do.
have good conversations.
Yeah.
That's all we want.
I do feel weird reposting because I don't feel like I have a large reach, and then Instagram will tell me that I have some stupid amount. More than 10 people, I think, is a stupid amount for me, of like accounts that I've reached, and I'm like, why?
Yeah, you've been seen by 100 people, 1,000 people. I'm like, I don't even know 1,000
Why?
people. Who's looking at this?
Why are you here?
Oh.
I'm so sorry. Just complaining about my reach.
Yeah, well,
I'm
get taller,
so-
bro. I don't know what to tell you.
That's fine.
No, with like all the writing done, how was that? When was like that relief actually set in with you that you've done
Oh,
the thing?
that moment felt so good. And that, I think the biggest moment of I made a book is going to be when I actually get the physical book in my hands.
Aw.
But the second biggest for sure was, oh, thank goodness I have written the last of the words. Tomorrow I don't need to write anything. And like,
Do you remember that like last word you wrote?
I mean, the mini settings were the last thing I wrote, so it would have been the last word of the last of the mini settings, I think. I might have done a couple pieces out of order. But it felt incredibly good. And one thing that you forget is because of TTRPG, you're doing 8.5 by 11 size pages. It's a lot of words that go on every page. So my book isn't even particularly long by the standards, but if you convert it at the novel length rules, it comes out to like a 490 page novel worth of words. It's so much.
Dang.
That's wild. Do you remember in high school and college when we double spaced between all of the words? Like, you didn't even do that. You didn't double space. You didn't you didn't put a whole bunch of words that were,
So
filler. You didn't make the font just a quarter size bigger, or the margins
You make
just
the
a
periods.
Yeah.
no, you're much more likely to squeeze the font a little smaller so you can fit some more words on that page.
Right.
So actually, when I got to the very end, I was done with the draft, and it was 329 pages. And then the one thing you learn is books are always printed in multiples of sometimes 4, but usually 8 pages at a time. And so if you write 329, the manufacturer tells you, oh, you need to grow this up to 336, because that's where our multiple is. Not hard to do, because I hadn't put the index in yet. I wanted to put in a good index. So I prepped the index to go in, and then the index alone came out to 15 pages.
That's wild.
So then the last thing
That's
that I
wild.
got to do was trimming the index down to just 7 pages so I could hit the 336 target. Which turns out is actually a great use of an index, because like nobody's going to miss a word here and there.
Is
True,
that
true.
why sometimes in like novels you get that weird amount of like thank you, like acknowledgement pages on the back,
Probably, yeah.
or there's like blank pages?
Blank pages for sure. That is why blank pages happen in books. Because that was the thing we talked about, was whether to include some blank pages. And then turns out the problem went the other way. But yeah, that is a trick of writing and publishing that I learned here, is stuff like acknowledgments and thank yous and author's notes and forewords and indexes, like all that stuff that's not core book content. The page counts are flexible there for a reason, so you can flex them if you need to hit your multiple of 8.
I feel like I've been bamboozled my entire life. That's just a cop out because you needed some more pages. I'm done.
Hey, you don't know. Some of them might be actually worth it. Like, I know there's been like 2 pages blank. I've seen that before.
I've seen that
Like, it
before, but
happens.
I was like, I need to read these acknowledgments because I feel bad because this is a small publisher and I want their words to be fucking acknowledged, not that they are just
You
trying
can still
to.
do that.
No.
You don't have to feel
I mean,
copped out.
They are just using that to fill
They
space.
did still write those words,
Okay.
though.
Sure. However,
They chose those words.
What was the
to
purpose
fill
of those words?
Potential 8.
gentlemen, what were the purpose of those words? To fill out
to
their
acknowledge
book.
someone.
To fill out their book.
It says it on the acknowledgement that they're acknowledging people.
Yeah, but
What
then
more
you're
do you
acknowledging
want?
your dog, okay? Like,
I love that shit. I love that shit. You take that back.
if I write a book, I'm not saying shit about Watson and Rosie. They didn't do shit.
That's your fault. You don't love your dogs.
That's not. They didn't do shit, okay? They actually probably interrupted my writing the entire fucking time, needing pets and cuddles and living in my sweatshirt while I was writing, okay? That's how I got through graduate school. They sat in my goddamn sweater as I typed with, like, my big puppy-filled belly. I was gonna say pregnant, but I was like, that's not fair. I wasn't pregnant. They were just living in my sweatshirt. That's crazy. Okay, never mind.
I feel like every time we have conversations, a little bit of your worldview is destroyed, and you as a person are never the same.
Isn't that the fucking point of walking out your door? Isn't that the point that you were supposed to destroy your worldview? Even if it's upsetting? Is that not the point of being a member of the society?
No, stop it. Stop trying. No, you're not going to make this into something. No. Anyways, so many robots. Hey,
You're telling
I'm going
me.
to just jump past that idea.
You're telling me if I learn more about this world that my worldview doesn't change?
Where's the mute button on this damn thing?
I dare you.
I could just mute you in post. I'll just put the beep on your...
The people on YouTube are really, like, enjoying this, like, rant, and then the podcast people are like, I don't know.
How many books are you sending out with
He's not
this
sending out
Kickstarter
shit.
finishing?
His people are sending him. I'm so sorry.
Pedantic.
So at this point, between Kickstarter and orders I've gotten since the Kickstarter, there are a little over 1,500 people who've bought it entirely. Of those, about 800 got hardcover books. So I'm going to have extra stock of a couple hundred because I'm printing up 1,000. Those
Gotcha.
I'm hoping to some of those will be replacements. The general rule is like, I think it's 1 to 3% of shipments are just going to go missing at some point. And then some of those I'll send out as other people order more.
That's a good number to know. You don't want to do exact because life happens to things in shipping.
Yeah.
Because I've had that happen. I sent something very nice to a friend, and it just
Yeah.
never occurred. I'm like, oh, next time, I guess.
How do we go
Damn.
missing? Like, what happens? What do we, like, is that, anyways. I was going to say, like, I don't understand, but, like, projects in my classroom go missing pretty, not pretty often, but, like, often enough that I don't have a zero, of projects that go missing. But, like, if your job is mail, if you're mail Barbie,
Hi, Barbie.
how do you just lose an entire package? Like, is there, okay, hold on.
There's so much stuff that goes on in a warehouse. Have you ever worked in a warehouse?
No, I
Sure.
haven't. I'm sorry for showing my
I
privilege.
have.
So many
I'm so
ways
sorry right
to
now.
lose a package.
Oh yeah.
Also,
But, like, then,
some of that-
Sometimes
do you
you're
choose the
counting to
packages?
100
some
and
of
you
that
missed
is not
one.
even going to get lost by the delivery folks, right? Some of that is going to be porch pirates stealing stuff before it gets to the customer, after it's left UPS or whoever.
Listen, dear listener, if you are a motherfucking porch pirate, okay? You just, like, go up to people's houses and you steal the shit right off of their fucking door. Go fuck yourself.
So
Just,
I will say for books, I'm actually way less worried about people stealing books than about books getting left out in the rain. That's actually probably the single biggest category of replacements.
If you're a rain cloud and you rain on this book, go fuck yourself.
I think that my sentiment still stands about porch pirates, though. Like, just go fuck yourself. Because, for what? For what?
For a book?
For a book?
I love the spell and seas. I'm going to steal it from my neighbor.
If you were a porch pirate and you found somebody's cremains, do you think you would return it and be like, I am so sorry? Or do you think you would just toss it?
What? What did you just say?
Cremains. If you found somebody's cremains because you were pirating off of corpses, cremains, the
Ashes.
the ashes.
Okay, okay. All right, thank you.
I'm so sorry.
Did that happen to you?
No, my dad is firmly downstairs. He is fine.
Good. I'm just wondering. I know. I didn't know how you travel him, especially.
Actually, I think they handed it to me. Never mind. This whole thing is moot because I'm pretty sure they just straight up handed me the box.
Yeah. Who's gonna? Yeah. I
don't think that was
the cremates of my family members that I said just ship it to me.
I
Just once. I don't want to see it. Just.
I have ashes for an old dog. I think those.
Yes.
those were shipped, so those could have gone missing in transit.
Once again, if you were a porch pirate, then back to my first question. If you were a porch
Okay,
pirate,
okay.
do you think if you found
You're on
ashes
one
that you would
today.
return them? Or do you think that you've been so corrupt as a porch pirate that you just wouldn't?
Nah, that's an easy. My bad. What is he gonna do with? He can sell a book. He can't sell cremated remains. As far as I know, I've not been on the black market. I could. There could be a market for that. I have no idea.
I don't even
But
know
I
how
mean,
to
if
look
you're
up the
on the black
market.
market, why would you be stealing from porches at that point? Like, if you're selling on those kind of goods.
The unexciting answer is I think most of the time, if somebody swipes something they can't use, you find it in the bushes a block away. Because they just carry it.
Yeah.
They just carry it far enough to check what it is and then ditch it.
That's true.
Are you sad now?
No,
Alex?
no. I just was here for the lulz of the idea that porch pirates had a soul.
I mean, they do.
I don't think so.
It's not a good one.
It's tarnished. It is like a shitty necklace that was out in the rain.
Yeah, okay. While she's sneezing, I want to talk to you about the book
Great.
again.
Sounds good.
Why did you sound so excited to do that?
Because that's what these are!
Benjamin, are you not entertained?
Very entertaining. This is great.
Benjamin is
It's
entertained.
fine. You know what? No.
but
We'll just talk about your
also-
dumb book. Fine.
What the fuck is
500% funded on Kickstarter.
537?
I'm so sorry. I'm just kidding. You did a great job. Honestly. All sarcasm aside.
Thank you.
But also, fuck these Texas allergies.
I gotta find my question again. You rudely interrupted. As you're closing up on everything you're doing for the book, are you already thinking about the next project?
I am, in fact, already working on the next project.
Always
Yeah,
be
work
working.
Yeah.
It's nice to be able to take a break from doing work on Spellbound Sea and work on something else for a little bit. Right now, so one thing that is, especially with the trade war, plan A was probably to try to do another Kickstarter next summer for another book of similar size. I don't know. That's still somewhere on the plans list. I don't know when that's going to happen.
Yeah.
For right now, what I'm working on is some smaller stuff. I'm thinking of probably a digital-only supplement that's something like, a sixth to a quarter the size of Spellbound Sea, so like 50 pages-ish. Probably one class, a few subclasses, one species, like the same type of stuff, because people broadly seemed pretty happy with the type of stuff that was in Spellbound Sea, but just less of it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try that. I'm going to see if that does well, if I make my money back, selling that as digital only. Test out a different model that is a little lower stakes and lower stress than running a big campaign.
The current one that has been followed upon. Yeah. Are you going to try to do that with Kickstarter again, or are you looking at other platforms as well?
That one I'm going to front the costs and just try to make it back.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
especially if it's digital only, and this time, if I am actually a little more
Right.
careful with what the art budget looks like, I can probably make that manageable.
No.
Okay.
No, unlimited art budget.
No,
We
unlimited
just
art
learned.
budget.
Unlimited art budget. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. What's the worst that's gonna happen?
If
All these people get paid? Wow. A hero.
all
I'm
right,
so sorry. I'll just
all right,
see myself out.
no, you just. I feel like you're mad at me.
I'm not
I think
mad at
there's
you. Wait, do we now have like therapy right here? I'm not mad at you at all.
No, we're not doing that. I'm just saying.
I'm not mad. No.
Me and Ben. You're attacking me and Ben.
Don't bring Benjamin in this.
Don't say the full name. We haven't given the full name.
I'm sorry.
Um,
I can't combine that in any way. Okay, never mind. My favorite thing is to combine shortened names, and they're dumb endings, right? So like, I keep trying to say like Bethany, but like that doesn't hit as well as like
The sort of
I don't
name
have
that
another-
you give to your
Going.
dog. Well, at least the sort of name I give
Yeah.
to my dogs.
what do you call your dog's name? Like what do you combine them with?
Right now, my dog is Reese, and I will sometimes call him Reese-tifer, and I will more often call him Shithead, and I will sometimes call him Give me my sock back, you fucking ingrate.
Reese-tifer is definitely the vibe that I was thinking. Why are you mad at me?
can you? I'm gonna ask a question again, as I do on this show.
This is the second appearance. This is allowed to go off the rails.
This is what happens.
This is
all the
precedent.
First one went,
You just the
first one
chains
went pretty
come
off the rails.
First
too,
time
if
we
I
were
remember.
professional. Fuck.
Okay, but was it like this level? Because I don't remember doing
I'm
that
so
bad.
sorry.
It could be. Can you talk to us about any of the future projects you have, or is that just kind of like still kind of undecisive of what you want to commit to potentially like creating another book?
So, in terms of like the next big giant book, no, I haven't planned that far in advance. The thing I'm working on right now for the digital only supplementer, those weren't words, digital only supplement. I'm working on a necromancer class. It's been done a few times, a few different ways. I think I can do a version that is fun and balanced and a little bit more modern. So I'm probably going to release a necromancy themed supplement with that class and some spooky subclasses and some spooky spells and other spooky stuff.
Hell yeah.
Actually,
All spooky this time.
very spooky. Yeah.
No C's, all spooky.
No C's.
Or spooky C's.
It could be. Spellbound Sea actually has some spooky C's in it. And one thing that is not explicit in my project, but that I'm probably going to keep doing in my head, is trying to write everything so you could stitch it all together if you wanted to. But you don't have to.
So like
what do you
everything
mean
you're
by
writing
stitch?
is canon within itself.
Yeah, it's sort of all canon in a game world that I'm never going to publish, and that I don't actually even run my own. Like it's a game world that's like the world I run my games in, but it's not actually the same one. For folks who
That's like-
really like
That's like
looking at the
cool.
minutia, they can have some fun with like, oh, this incidental character name that showed up in 3 sentences in Spellbound Sea gets a reference in this book too.
That's like, oh, that's for you and all your hardcore diehard
It's for,
fans.
yeah, it's for me and for one other person. One person noticed that.
I love that shit though. I am that person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you want to make that person
mean-
happy.
Yeah. Let me Charlie Day it and put all the pins behind me and figure out how it's all
Pepe
connected.
Sylvia. Yeah.
I am that person.
I think how do you kind of take a break from your work? Do you like jump into just playing D&D, or is it something like completely different?
I mean, I managed to keep reasonably normal working hours. I'm not working 20 hours a day. I do work at odd hours sometimes because, like, if you feel creative at 10 p.m., you should write some stuff at 10 p.m. But
Hmm.
I've got a partner, I've got a kid. I cannot, in fact, have my head in writing mode all day, 24/7.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. I was wondering if it was just like, nah, this is my hyperfixation. That's all I do.
There,
The kids roll dice. This is-
I mean, there is, particularly if you are trying to make it in TTRPGs, and you are trying very hard to negotiate the transition from side hustle to main gig. Like, that spot is really uncomfortable, and a lot of people in that spot, those folks are working 20-hour days. Right, because there you're desperate to make it work. And that is one of the things I was actually quite afraid of with the Kickstarter, is if it succeeds but doesn't succeed by that much, then what you actually have is you have an obligation to all your backers to deliver them something, and you don't have enough money to do a good job of it. So then you're stuck either cheaping out or just absolutely working your ass off to make up for not having the funds to pay contractors to help with stuff.
Yeah, I could see where that's a really difficult balance, right? That breakthrough of one industry to another, and make sure, and especially anything creative, you're really pushing it. Hold on. Fuck. Ah, it was right there. Okay, sorry. I had to sneeze, and it
I hate
still
that.
hasn't.
That happens to me all the time.
Oh my gosh. But you're really then throwing your entire heart and soul into it. But then that return, right? That return is either people love it and then I'm validated, or it's not my time, and then where do you
go?
how does that affect your ego, right? Yeah. Do you continue to push it until you break, or do you take a step back and then realize that your entire dream has been shattered? Wow, that took a turn. I'm so sorry.
it's rough out here. It's rough out here.
And I have no idea, because, like, Dungeons and Degrees is not my... I would love it to be my full-time gig, but I love teaching so much that I would be doing myself a disservice by leaving teaching right now, even with all the frustration. So some days it is a 18-hour workday, because I am too passionate.
I will say the least pleasant work days I had for all of Spellbound Sea were working on that index. My God, indexes are a pain in the ass to put together.
What is hard about the index? Is it just trying to find all the instances of the word? Is it trying to... How did you approach that? Was it just the instances of the word, or is it like the vibe?
My layout design, so we did all of the layout in Adobe InDesign, which, fuck Adobe, but also it's the only tool anybody in the industry uses. My layout designer had a script to auto-generate the index given a list of keywords. So job one was write the list of keywords, which wound up being about 1,500 words.
Okay.
Run the script, get all the page references, and then check all of them by hand to kick out errors and kick out stuff that, like, doesn't really match up, and, like, tune stuff and then group stuff and clump things and then check it again and then check it again. And that took about a week and a half of looking at that. And that melts your brain. That absolutely destroys you.
I could see. Yeah. Because you had 1,500 words? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
So then we're assuming that the 1,500 words also have more than one page that they refer to. So
yeah, probably
once again,
probably on average 3 or 4 pages, and in some cases a few dozen. So
yeah,
checking I don't know, something like 6, 7, 8,000 entries. And then pruning those down, and when you trim it down, you might reclassify some by hand, and it's fun. It's fun.
It's fine that it's done.
Yeah, yeah. That's your fault for having such a long book, is what I'm hearing. You should have just.
So you're like just throwing insults today. I'm just telling you.
I mean, I'll take that one. That was more of a backhanded compliment.
You just wrote too many words. I'm so sorry.
Oh, wow. Sorry, I'm an artiste. A craftsman of words.
No, I mean, okay, for real though. Joking aside, and you know, backstabby compliments. Like, that's incredible. And the amount of work that I don't think I really do realize that go into any sort of book or manual or like all those little tiny rules, that's where it would kill me, right? The tiny rules. I need to have it in groups of 8. Well, shit, I have terrible at counting to 8 past 10, right? Past 80, I can't count by 8s.
Yeah, and this is all stuff where this is where that budget comes back in again, actually, because a lot of TTRPG creators do their own layout and do their own visual and graphic design, and honestly, it's not even a great way to save money because that's not the most expensive part, but it's a way to save money. But in my case, my layout designer is an experienced professional who has worked with big name, like she's freelance now, but she was previously art director for a major TTRPG company. So every weird little thing about publishing that I needed to know, Bora could tell me, like, oh, you're going to have to do the groups of 8. I already have the script to generate the index, X and Y and Z. And the fact that I had the budget to pay an experienced professional to be my crusty old codger leading me through everything was fantastic. And Bora Haxira, I cannot sing her praises enough. She's fantastic to work with.
Yeah, that's a lot of like. There's so like that's why they're professionals. That's why you work in an industry and you should be able to get paid for that intimate knowledge of the thing, right? If you're an expert in your field, you should be treated like an expert in your field. And that's part of those little tiny nuances that I think a lot of people forget, especially when you're talking about paying somebody what they're worth.
Yeah.
Like, all of those things just come naturally. For me, it'd be a pain in the butt, and it would literally stop me from working. I would literally stop doing it because I would get overwhelmed, and I'd say, "Is as much as I want it to be worth it, this is not worth it," until I could pay somebody properly to do it. You know.
Yeah, and one of the things that I think makes the industry so hard is so many people do try to go it alone and do so much of the work themselves. Like we referenced earlier how many projects deliver behind schedule. Like, that's a big part of why projects deliver behind schedule, is when there's one person everything's flowing through. As soon as one piece runs behind, the whole thing starts running behind. You know, in my case, I'm a little bit behind schedule, not very much. And mostly that's because I didn't get stuff written quick enough. But a little bit of the art came in late. One of the artists had to take a month off at a very critical time for entirely appropriate family reasons. And that's just like, when you've got enough people, like, I shifted a little bit of art around, I adjusted the schedules a little bit. And the fact that I had, again, enough, that the Kickstarter did well enough that I had multiple artists I was working with. Like, I had the flexibility to keep the wheels on, even when there were a couple of bumps.
What is something that you're going to take from this time using a crowdfunding, I guess, process to the next time you do it? What is like a major thing that you kind of learned from this process?
I think I have a much stronger grasp of how good your planning needs to be in advance and where you can leave the gaps in the planning. I think next time, just for my own sanity, I will aim to start a campaign when a book is 80% done rather than 50. I absolutely, if I have all the same professionals able, the freelancers I worked with, if I can get all of those people on board again, I will work with all the same people again. They were all wonderful.
Awesome.
So all of those credits in your book, just if you're looking for somebody,
Copy-paste.
just copy them. Say, hey, I saw your name pop up. You've been recommended.
That is exactly how I approached some people. None of the folks I actually wound up working with, but that is a completely valid way to find good freelancers. And for other creators, I would refer any one of these people to you 10 times over. They're great, every one of them.
Hell yeah.
Is it easier if they're at the front or the back of the book? What like for the credits?
The credits go in the front of the book, Adrian.
Credits always go in the front.
Okay, it's been a while.
There's a
I
page
just
for
think
that.
of movies.
One of the
Yeah,
things
they're
I
like-
was most weirdly terrified of was getting somebody's name wrong in the credits. Especially when you get
that's fair. That's fair.
when you get down
Yeah.
into the play testers, where like those folks aren't necessarily super engaged. They're not checking the drafts to make sure you spelled everything right. Like, you really don't want to miscredit anybody.
Oh. And you didn't, and that's great.
As far as I know,
For now. For now. You're in the clear right now until those books get into people's hands. Or in the Porch Pirates' hands, and then
I still have
Again with these pirates.
about 2 weeks when I could make a correction to the print copies before the presses start rolling. So, if somebody checks the credits right now and finds an error, tell me, and I still have time to fix it.
All right, I'll push this one out then.
Push it out right now.
You go. Yeah,
start
right now.
start editing right now.
Just completely raw file.
Yeah.
That's
You know
true.
what?
By the time this actually goes up, that'll be like negative days probably. I don't know how long your edit process is.
I mean, literally, I can knock it out and put it up by Saturday if I need to. Okay, like,
It's fine.
and then someone can get back to you.
It should be good. I do know of one error that is still in the pre-production samples that we're going to have to fix, but only one, and it's very minor. It's just a formatting thing. One header is bold when it should not be.
Oh,
The audacity.
dang! Throw it all away.
Ugh.
Sorry,
Mhm.
you bought the book. You have to buy a new one with the new edition.
Yes. If you raise the same amount of money for a second edition, the only thing that's changed is that header's not bold anymore.
You know what though?
Yep,
Okay,
yep.
hold on. Let's just say we're gonna
Okay.
we're gonna throw this out, right? If this book
Away?
just has longevity, right? For years and years and years, people are going back to it time and time and again. That bold is gonna make somebody a lot of fucking money, right? Having that editing issue and then that editing issue goes into like half price, that's gonna make somebody a bucket of money.
To be clear, I do intend to fix that before we actually start the print run.
Yeah, but there's what, 3, 4, however many pre-print you're gonna dish
Probably
out
just
to your
one.
friends and family. There's one.
I think just one.
That one. When you
I will
die.
have the one.
Yeah, when you die, and that
No,
goes
what?
into a collection. Fine. Okay.
When
Oh,
when they
for
make
what?
my memorial library after I'm gone, that'll be the copy on display.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
In the TTRPG section of the libraries that are going to come in the Library of Congress, in the TTRPG section, there'll be that one, and it's at that point priceless.
That's a good point, actually. I think I need to check. I might need to mail a copy to the Library of Congress. I think there's a procedure for that.
I think there is.
I
Yeah.
got you.
Do it. Make it happen.
I got you.
What are they gonna do? Stop you? Maybe. I don't know.
If it's still here, if it's not on fire.
Come
I
on.
wasn't going there.
what are we if not in the Roman Empire and about to watch the, Library of Alexandria be burned alive?
Hey, you're so many robots. Where can they find you?
People can look me up at my website, somanyrobots.com. On there, you can find links to my Discord, which is the best place to get up to the minute updates about what I'm working on. I've got a Patreon, patreon.com/somanyrobots. I'm on Blue Sky. I'm on Mastodon. I'm technically on Instagram, but I only ever really syndicate. I just copy stuff that I've posted on Blue Sky over there. Yeah. That's where people can find me.
Hell yeah.
Alex.
Thank you, dear listener, for joining us on another episode of Dungeons and Degrees. You can find us wherever pods are cast, so be sure to share us with your friends, your neighbors, your porch pirates, your enemies to lovers, your forced proximity partner. For the romance girlies, I got you. You can also find us on all of the social medias at Dungeon and Degrees, and be sure to help support us at Patreon at patreon.com/Dungeon and Degrees.
Great talking to both of you. I had a wonderful time.
Thank you.
Aw, thank you.
You're so great. You're so incredible for not being, so many robots. You're just like a human.
That's what they tell me.
Ugh, so sorry.
That's what the algo says. All right. Thank you so much for listening. My name's Adrian.
And I'm Alex.
And do I have to do a sign out? I'm so many robots.
Go have some fun.